Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with SamPaul, and I'm very excited today because we have our first psychic fair organiser. She probably does more than that, and we'll find out when we talk to her. But that's how I know her, apart from Facebook, of course. DeAnne.
Hello, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. So tell me a little bit about. Remind me the name, because I know it's a longish name and I've got a bad memory. But also, I'd like to know kind of how you got into doing these psychic fairs.
Okay, so I run the Queen of Wands Psychic Fair.
Queen of Wands, that's right.
Yeah.
I love that name.
It's the best name.
I'm just bad at names.
Are you? Well, I named it after...
Sorry.
I was actually watching another video of yours earlier, and yeah, you were like, this is... Couldn't remember her name, I thought it was funny. Anyway, yeah, so the Queen of Wands Psychic Fair, I called it after my favourite card, Queen of Wands. So I love that card. It was my favourite card. I think she's sassy. Everyone wants to be the Queen of Wands. So, you know, she's got drive and determination. Yep. She goes for what she wants. She doesn't take less, you know. Yep. So I was like, that would be a great name of a fair, because we all want to be like that, right?
Well, that's right. And I think it's I think it's really important to empower, young girls when they're growing up to be exactly like what you just described.
Yeah.
I think there's too much historically been where we kind of keep them down.
Yep.
Look at these silly bloody kids shows we watch. Oh my God, my shoe. He doesn't even remember my name, but he's got my shoe. I better fall in love with him. It's like, why? Dude doesn't remember your name. He's walking around with a shoe.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
I have to ask though, what does that card mean in the context of a reading?
Yeah, so it's the same thing. It can stand for a person, yourself, somebody else you know, and it's about the values that you hold, what you aspire to be. Yep. It often signifies an entrepreneur, so somebody who works for themselves. They've got that drive. It's a lot of fiery energy because it's wands. So
very cool.
Yeah.
I reckon my son would like that. He's really into all the Harry Potter and stuff. So I know that's probably not the best example of that stuff, but he's right into the magic and the wands and.
Well, that's what really excites me too. Is at the market we have a lot of stall holders that are male. A lot of psychics and card readers and really clever guys that make woodworker. Yeah. And so that's what really excites me as well, is having a place where everyone can come and it's inclusive, but particularly for males as well, where they get involved and they can come along and sit down and feel comfortable chatting with other people. And with the whole spirituality thing, I think that, it's not really something that a lot of males feel like they can be open to sometimes in this society.
I was going to ask that while you were speaking sort of on the fact that you've got these stall holders and stuff, because I kind of get the feeling that, with the way history has been, with men not meant to show feelings and emotions and stuff, that I feel like traditionally maybe more women have been card readers and stuff because they're a bit more attuned to that or open to that, maybe would be a better way to put it.
Definitely.
But you think there's a bit of a shift there?
There is, we've got a lot of males and amazing what they do with palmistry, tarot readers, healers.
Okay.
And it's really interesting to see a lot of the males walk through the door, and obviously perhaps they feel comfortable chatting with another guy,
Yeah, that's a fair point. Because I know with doctors and stuff like that, I prefer for certain things I'd rather talk to a male doctor, but then for other things like mental health, I actually feel a bit more comfortable talking to a female doctor. Okay. It depends on what the issue is, but it's good. I think it's great to hear that there's a shift in that, because by having more balance maybe in the gender or of the person who does the reading, it maybe opens it up to people that might not have been open to it. There might be more guys want to go and try it out and see what it's about because there's a guy doing it now.
Definitely.
Sort of thing. So that's really cool. Yep. And what kind of possessed you to put on a fair? Because I've run events for quite a few years now, much smaller than your psychic fair, and I know how much it can be quite a headache. There's a lot to organise, a lot to consider, a lot to to make that day happen. So what possessed you to take that path? Because it isn't an easy thing to do.
Well, So I went to a psychic fair years ago, and I saw a gentleman there, and I wasn't going to get my cards done, but I wasn't going to get my cards read, but I saw him and I felt like I had to go chat with him. So I did, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And that's when I realised that tarot reading, it wasn't just, it was more like a spiritual counselling.
Yeah.
It was a lot deeper and a lot more to it than I actually realised what a tarot reading would be. It wasn't just like, oh, you're going to meet this man at this particular time on this day, you know. Like it was a lot deeper than that. So
yeah, definitely.
With him, I learnt to read cards. I learnt some healing techniques, and it just kind of came about in conversation. I just think it's important to be able to have places like that for like-minded people to be able to come.
Yeah.
And I've had no experience. I played roller derby for nearly 10 years.
That's a great background for running a festival.
I thought so, but it's like skater, run and owned. So we had to do all the work. So basically, we'd put on boot camps and all sorts of. So there was a lot of organisation that came through that. So I kind of saw it like it's just a big roller derby boot camp.
with some crystals and some tarot cards.
So I just took it from there,
that.
really.
Yeah, no, that seems cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I noticed too, like you guys have people that like have like books and stuff too, which is like really cool. Is that something you like actively seek out to have at your fair, or?
What do you mean?
Like there was a guy that when I came to the one that you had at Blackwood.
Oh, yep. Terry at the back.
Terry and
Rosemary.
At the back, yeah. And they were selling like all these really awesome second-hand books, and they weren't all necessarily spiritual necessarily. They were just like really great books in general.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, is that something that you like? Do you actively seek out the people that you have store holders, or do they kind of find you?
That's a good question. So in the beginning, I had to find everybody because I didn't have this, know this. Yeah. And so I did have to put my name out there and chase people and find people, but now I don't. And I believe that the right people come to us. So I don't have problems finding people. And I think that the fair will always be what it's meant to be on the day. So we obviously have a lot of, tarot readers, mediums, psychics, astrologers, things like that. That's always like, maybe we have about 20 of those people on the day that offer those services. And then everybody else that comes, they just find us, and it ends up like a really nice different array of things.
I remember there was that young girl that I think you poured into me too that does the readings and she does the drawing.
Yeah, Rhiannon.
That's the one, yeah.
Okay.
She was amazing. Like I'm not going to lie. I think I might have even said to you on the day that I don't or haven't in the past subscribed to the idea of psychic mediums and things like that. And like I guess since my mum passed, I've moved more towards kind of maybe thinking maybe this is something that I could believe and subscribe to. But it wasn't until I spoke with her that my mind was just blown. Like, because when I tell people the story of how that happened, anyway, when I tell everyone the story of how that happened and how that came about and the reading that she did for me, I'm very quick to point out I did not give her anything, because I know there's skeptics that will say, oh, you probably said something to her and she's just gone with that, and then it's been so broad that you could interpret that however you want. But I literally told her nothing. In fact, I even said to someone yesterday, I don't even think I even told her my name until maybe halfway through. I think I mentioned it came up in conversation, but I literally didn't give her any details about my life at all. And what really sealed it for me was at the end, she'd said to me earlier, look, I mentioned things like cars and models and stuff, but I don't really know much about cars, so I'm not real good with that kind of stuff. But she nailed it. It took me a second for the penny to drop, but she mentioned this car, and it was only towards the end of the conversation that I had to say, hey, that car, I know what you're talking about now, because it dawned on me it was a car my mum had given me 20 years earlier.
Oh, wow.
But I got confused because she said red car, and I've just got a red car. Yep. So and then she said Gemini. I'm like, no, it's not a Gemini. So I was yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, Gemini, red Gemini, boxy red Gemini. And I was like, that's the car my mum gave me 20 years ago. And she'd said earlier that, my mum was there talking like with the spirit guides and stuff. And I was just like, oh yeah, God, whatever, But yeah, it was undeniable, like the amazing stuff she was able to share.
Yeah, that's the best part as well, as watching skeptics kind of come in.
Hey, look, I'm happy to own that label.
No, but you were open to it, you know. So like you sat there, and that is the whole thing. It's easy to be a skeptic until you meet somebody. Like when I met that gentleman at that market years ago, and then it's just like, I just walked in. He didn't know anything about me. He said all these things I hadn't even told people before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, that's one of the good things about the market. Like, you know, it's really cool to watch. But
have you had many stories from people that maybe were in similar sort of situation to me, where they were like maybe a little bit skeptical but kind of open, and they've come to your fair? And
definitely a lot. And people say they'll come in and they'll be like, you know, who do I see? Like, how do I choose someone? Who can you recommend? And that's really hard because everybody's so different with what they do, and everybody resonates with different things and people.
Of course.
So the best thing is to come, walk around, have a look, and see who you're drawn to. And the stories all the time, they're just like when people get blown away. And it was interesting that you kind of, without even me even asking for a recommendation, you kind of mentioned Rihanna. I remember that.
Because as soon as I walked in there and saw her, even though she was busy at the time, which she had someone else she was drawing for, I felt like that I had to kind of go to talk to her. And then I came back later and she was gone, because I think she'd gone to the bathroom or something. But I was like, oh. So I went to my friends that I was with and I said, look, I'm going to go one more time. If she's there and she's available, I'll get it done. If not, then obviously it wasn't meant to happen. And I walked in and then she's just sitting there hanging out, just chilling. And I was like, okay, I'm going in.
Well, it was funny because you spoke to me and you said a few things to me, and it was about your mum's passing.
Yeah.
And it was similar things that she had told me. And so that's why I connected the two of you together.
Wow.
I was like, oh, there's actually similarities there, or, you know.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Like,
that's, I don't even know what to say now. Just like, mind blown. But I should probably mention too, like, I know it's not on topic of what we're talking about, but I should probably mention Cafe 228. I do come here semi-regularly because Jamie and the crew are amazing.
This is a great coffee.
Yeah, and they always look after me. Like, they're so kind and just like the epitome of my, in my opinion, of like good customer service. They really respect and understand how important that is to a business. So just a bit of a shout out to them for letting us here again. I never asked permission. I just roll up, and like the first time I came here, like he knew me and I knew him, but I didn't say, hey Jamie, can I come down and do a show? I just
he looks
up.
Familiar.
Yeah, he used to, or he does front a Green Day tribute band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Basket Case, I think they're called.
Okay.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah.
A little bit of a plug. So your fair, I think from memory, you run it monthly.
Yeah,
roughly?
yeah. So
yeah, I'm just curious, when's the next one coming up?
So the next one's October 22nd.
October 22nd.
So it's a Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's always free entry to come into our markets, and it's at McLaren Vale Institute Hall.
Oh, nice. A nice little location there.
Yeah.
Because the last one the one that I came with was Blackwood.
Yeah.
Which was also really nice.
I love Blackwood. So we like the venues, like historical venues, or, you know, like ones with a bit of lots of charm. So Blackwood has that for me, you know. It's been looked after really well. It's a beautiful area. So we, different locations. We got Blackwood, Clemzig, McLaren Vale, Moana in January. We're going to Wallaroo in December.
Oh wow, that's a fair drive, isn't it?
Wallaroo.
Yeah.
We went to Robe last December.
Oh wow,
that was
awesome.
like 5 hours away, and that was it was so awesome. And we had like people drive from Melbourne to come to see Queen of One Psychic Fair at Robe. We were like, drove
incredible.
3 hours. So we were stoked with that.
Yeah.
But so it's really good. We enjoy going different places and meeting different people, including
100%.
them in what we do.
So what do you do outside of that? Like, I'm assuming that's not a full-time job?
It is now. Yeah, I
assume incorrect.
Yeah.
That's actually really
You're
good to hear.
You're not psychic, are you?
No. Oh, I have to share with you this meme I saw before I let you speak again, because I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah.
I saw this meme and it had a picture of someone just sitting there like this, and it says, this mind reader's asking you a question and there's nothing there. I was like, oh God.
That was me yesterday for my other interview. There was nothing there.
Oh no! You were a very good guest apparently, so I have it on good authority. I trust Melanie. She's good. But yeah, So you are doing this more or less full time?
I am, yeah. It's a lot of hard work, and
Yeah.
because I do everything, so I have to promote it myself. Come up with the advertising.
Yep.
Find the venues, measure the venues, find the stall
I've got a
holders,
chocolate
all of that.
moustache, haven't I?
No, you don't.
Oh, good.
You don't. Do I have a Vegemite moustache?
No, you don't.
Because their Vegemite toast is amazing.
Oh yeah, sourdough.
Enjoyed that. Sourdough, yeah.
That's the secret.
Definitely, yeah. Trendy.
Although I have to I'm going to put it on record that this lovely young lady agrees with me that Vegemite and peanut butter toast. Because I got ridiculed on my TikTok video for making a Vegemite and peanut butter sandwich. People were like, what the hell is that? Yuck, gross.
It'll
yucky.
probably be the new thing in a couple of years.
Oh, it will be. And they'll go back to my TikTok
They
video.
will. Change.
It's actually amazing. Like, do you use things like TikTok when you're promoting?
Actually, I have been meaning to get on TikTok for quite some time. I do mostly Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
But I do need to start getting into TikTok. I'm definitely showing my age. Yes.
Facebook and Instagram is our generation.
That's right.
But the reason I ask is because, like, I'm sitting at home a couple of weeks ago and my son comes in and goes, Dad, is it too late to go to the playground? I'm like, 5:30 or something. I'm like, yeah, why not? Where are we going? And he goes, and it shows me this TikTok video of this park down the road from our house that they just built recently.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, wow, let's go. And it was really cool. And we only found out about it because of TikTok.
Oh, there you
So
go.
it might be something definite.
Yeah, TikTok's the thing everyone's talking about, and I know a lot of
still don't
card
understand
readers
it.
and things like that are on TikTok. And
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, you're supposed to make little videos, and I like put still pictures up there with my music for like a flyer for a gig or something. I'm like, good enough. But sometimes I get like 800, 900 views. I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
definitely the way to go. So that's I need to get into that next.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you can teach me how to use TikTok.
Oh, I mean, I can. Yeah.
Oh, that's what we need to use our kids for it. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Because my daughter's the same. She was like, Mum, there's heaps of witchy stuff and tarot stuff all over TikTok. So maybe I need to chuck her $50 and she can look after the
Maybe.
TikTok account.
My son confessed to me yesterday that he was a social media expert, apparently.
Well,
Yeah.
that is a good title.
He is pretty cluey though, I must admit. The kids like blow me away with what they know. But then I used to do the same to my parents.
Yeah.
I'd be all over the computer games and
Yeah.
stuff back then.
So what is it that makes us stop and not be able to progress?
I don't know. It's funny. That's a very interesting conversational point that you bring up there. And really, I should have been asking you that because you're the guest, and I should be picking your brain. But because you've asked me, I will just say what I've been told. Because it's the same with music. We have this period of about roughly, I think, 14 to 25 years of age where we absorb all this new music. We develop our own tastes that are sometimes independent of what our parents showed us when we were growing up. And then when we get to 25, many of us, not so much shut off to it, but we become less proactive, I guess, in searching for new music. And I think technology and learning that kind of stuff is very much the same kind of thing. You get your heyday kind of period, and then you kind of like falls by the wayside. You just kind of, you might jump onto it, but you won't embrace it in the way that, like, say, our kids will embrace that, because that's their heyday kind of period.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've always wondered, like, how come I can always remember, like, lyrics to, like, every New Kids on the Block song from, like, 1999, but I can't remember anything that happened yesterday.
Oh, look, again.
Do you find that?
I think it's just long-term memory. Yeah, I do. I actually saw a meme on that too, and it said, how can I remember the lyrics to 80s songs, yet I can't remember people's names?
Yeah.
Or no, they said, why hasn't my brain replaced lyrics from the 80s with people's names that I've met today? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I need to get someone on my show that, like, specialises in memory.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I can pick their brain a little
But
bit.
you write your own music, don't you?
I do.
So how do you go about remembering those lyrics?
Oh, look, I'll tell you what, it's very hard. It's very hard. The way I normally would do it, up until I got my new car, I used to have a USB in my car. So what I used to do is I'd put the songs on the USB, and I'd listen to them over and over and over and rap along with them. And then eventually I'd feel like, okay, now it's time to do the same, but without the lyrics on the beat. So I just put the beats on. And so I'd drive around and I'd start rapping along that way.
Right.
I guess repetition.
Yeah.
For names though, what I find works for me, and obviously you've got to find your own way, but for me with names, association.
Yeah.
So like, I work at a fruit shop for my day job, and I've got a customer, for example, her name is Rosemary, and when she first introduced herself to me, she told me that when she was at school many years ago, her friends used to call her Herb because rosemary, is a herb.
Sure. Yep.
And so then her husband, his name is Don, and so I associate with the old ad, Don is good.
Yep.
There's a guy, his name is Simon, and he's always smiling. So to me, it's Smiley Simon. So that's
Have you ever met people, though, that do not suit their names?
Oh, definitely.
And you're like, wow,
Yeah.
never going to remember that. You do not look like a Sally.
Interesting. Oh, that's good because that's not my name. No. Actually, it's interesting you say it because I have a friend that used to work with me at the fruit shop, an older lady, and she's got a daughter, and her daughter on Facebook has a different name because she doesn't identify with the name she was given. So,
Yep.
yeah. But I don't know. I do find that. I mean, I look at my son and I think he suits Chance to the T. Like, I feel like that name really suits
That's
him.
a really cool name, by the way.
Okay. But despite popular belief, I did not name him after Chance the Rapper. Because a lot of people think that. I didn't know who Chance the Rapper was when I named him.
I still don't know who Chance the Rapper is.
He's an American rapper.
Okay.
He's apparently quite good. I'm not a big fan, but there's a lot of people that do like him. But interestingly, though, and this is where the story gets a little bit of a twist, the name I got the name from a rapper named Chance, but he's an Australian guy based in, I think, Sydney.
Okay.
And when I first met him, it was at a gig that I'd brought him over from Sydney with his partner in crime that I performed with, and he was calling himself Fat Chance. I didn't actually know that his real name was Chance.
Oh, right.
But he got signed to BMG a couple of years later, and he changed his name to his birth name, which was Chance Waters. So, yeah, I thought, I love that name. So when we were pregnant with my son, well, she was, I wasn't obviously.
You weren't pregnant
No.
with this Sally? No.
I put the name on the table, and yeah, when he was born, we just looked at each other and were like, that's the one.
I actually haven't heard of that as a first name.
Yeah. Well, apart from my mate Chance Waters, I've never met anyone. The rapper, I don't even know if Chance the Rapper is actually called Chance in like birth by birth, or if that's just the name he came up with. But yeah. Anyway, stop. Let me talking to you. You're my guest. Thank you so much for coming on the show and letting me speak. But seriously, no. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing about your psychic fair, and look forward to kind of coming along again because I had a great time the last time.
Excellent.
We'll get some links from you to put up on the description of the video so people can find you and find out where your fairs are happening. And thank you to Cafe 228. And this has been another episode of Coffee with SamPaul with DeAnne.
Thank you.